Now, I'm very excited to welcome back the co-host of the Deep Dive Podcast, as well as the director of content at Betsperts, and Mr. Andy, the Machine Molitor from Betsperts.com. You can follow Andy at Andy MSFW. Andy, the football season has finally ended here. Well, just about, right? What kind of shenanigans are you going to get yourself into this week?
Oh man, it feels like this takes forever with the bye week, right? It's such a grind, and you do all this content, and it's almost like, hey, you get to like Friday, and it's like, all right, I'm done. I'm done thinking about this game. I've got my stuff in. I'm just gonna space out. Honestly, I got a couple wrestling meets my kid has this weekend. My brother wanted to take we have some younger boys. He wanted to take him to Monster Jam. So I'm going to Monster Jam Saturday night.
Whoa, okay.
It's not something I've ever wanted to do or done, but he bought tickets and he's like, show up, we'll go to Monster Jam. So Monster Jam.
Monster trucks, right?
Just monster trucks, crushing cars and stuff. So I've got some stuff to kind of occupy my time and get me through Saturday. And then it is crazy waiting all day for that game on Sunday too, especially, you're used to waking up Sunday morning. Sometimes you even have those London games right away, but man, that's a long wait too, waiting for that game to start, especially if you're sweating something. I have Seattle futures from earlier in the season, so I'm pretty biased as far as going into this game to start the day.
That's great that you have Seattle futures. Good job. I know Mike told me yesterday a bunch about some of the bets that he's taken on Seattle, and that guy's in a pretty good situation here. There's two guys really, like massive futures here, and I think one of them even bet the Patriots versus the Seattle Seahawks exacta, and I think he's got the Patriots winning though, if I remember properly, and that's going to be a lot of money there, $300,000 on that one. And that just makes you look at exactas, but there's only just so few that go through, man. But it's like I was telling Mike, it's like no duh. It's like you look at the easy. We knew that the Patriots had the easiest schedule coming in. We knew it. And we also knew that the freaking Sam Darnold won 14 games and Seattle's got a defense. It's like it kind of slaps you in the face a little bit. But of course, the fact that you had a future on him is cool. And that's great. So you did see part of it, Mike. Did see part of it, Andy.
I didn't see the other half. I was pretty cold on New England to start the season, just with changing coaches twice in 2 years, and a rookie quarterback coming in the second year. I wasn't super sure how he'd play. I wasn't in love with how they built their roster, but yeah, they took care of business when they needed to. And I don't ever do those exactas really before the season anymore. It's so hard, to really. But I do like to do one when the playoffs start. So I did a Rams Jags. Obviously, died pretty quickly.
Funny, I actually did that too. I did Rams Jags because
I like that matchup
Buffalo. I just didn't believe in Buffalo.
I really thought they'd win that game, and they had their chances. They had that fourth down that he couldn't quite dive for. They had the ball at the end. He threw the pick right away. That was a brutal way to go.
Sure was. And well, I'm not going to say I'm never going to do it again, but it's not going to be for big bets. That's for sure. Phoenix Open. I know you guys came down here one of the years. It's like 80 degrees all week here, man. I think people are having a blast. I'm heading out there tomorrow. I'm not going early though. There's something going on at the Princess Hotel there. I was invited to by Splash Sports, so I'm going to go check them out. But I got to tell you, you're a golf bettor, and I got to ask you, I should say, what do you got going on this week with the Phoenix Open?
I got a couple guys going. I took I don't know if he's the elder or the younger Højgaard, but Nikolai, I have him. He's a couple shots off the lead, got her up, looking really good again after he got his win the other week. And I woke up, or I didn't wake up, but early in the morning, I looked at the scores when it first started, and Rasmus was leading. Or not leading, but right there. I'm like, damn, I always bet the wrong Højgaard, and they ended up flip-flopping. So I did go look at my account quick. I'm like, maybe I screwed up and bet Rasmus instead of Nico, which now that would have been bad because Nico is only 3 off the lead. I also have some Kitayama. He's not doing quite as well. He's 2 under. T14, I guess, but a lot of guys got to play golf this afternoon yet. And enjoy yourself out there. That's a fun time. Oh,
it's almost too much fun. You gotta be careful. Hard to get out of that place too. I'm just going to drop $100 for park and have a few cocktails. And I got a football game on Friday and a baseball tournament all weekend. Thank God they'll end by 2:30 on Sunday, because I've seen baseball tournaments totally screw up the Super Bowl plans for certain types of people. But no, I'm going to check it out, and I'll send a few shots on Twitter there. So, hey, man, right in the Super Bowl then, I mean, you got 4.5. You got some good futures, it sounds like, on Seattle. It's 4.5. It's kind of 5-ish too, depends where you look. I kind of think if I made the number, I'd make it 5.5 to 6, kind of somewhere in the middle, maybe like a juice 6 or something like that. I would have, but it's really in the place where I'm not going to bet a side or the total. But what do you think about the Super Bowl side and total?
Yeah, I'm really stumped on the total because, I start looking at path and most likely scenarios, most likely game scripts and whatnot. And I can see a very low scoring game. If the offenses struggle a little bit, if all it takes is, third downs, fourth downs, not going as, converting at the high clip as they have for these two teams recently. And we're not going to have a lot of scoring. I don't know that that's the most likely outcome. We went over it yesterday on the deep dive. My most likely outcome is Seattle comes out hot again. The offenses look pretty good for a few weeks. New England struggles a little bit to run the ball, and it's a little more of a Drake May has to put them on their back game, and we'll see how that goes. So I'm stumped on the total. I probably won't be involved in that much. It's just gonna be props. And then as far as the side, I'd lean Seattle. I made my power numbers. I don't lean on them as much this time of year. It's a little more matchup and narrative and rest and travel advantage, and trying to find it in the margins there, because at this point, the odds makers, their power numbers are pretty terribly close to mine. And that's kind of where I'm at with this one too. I'm at about a 4 or a 5 for a difference here. Like it's a pretty good number. If I am going to play anything, and I will play this, it'll be alts on Seattle. Just, Seattle
too.
minus 7.5, minus 10.5. If it turns into a good Darnold game, if they're not getting interior pressure on him and he has time, JSN's probably going to eat him up a little. And, I trust McDonald in that defense. So it could be like a 24-10 kind of game.
Yeah, sure. Certainly. And I have a more extreme one. And so that was going to be my next question. What's your final score? 24-10. It kind of, that resonates, the unders would be good for the books, especially on the prop side of things. And like I always say, when you do props, make sure you're not overextended on one end if it's going to go over or under, right? You try to diversify a bit. And I'm going to give you 31-13 Seattle. I think that's 44 total points. I just think that New England's going to have a really tough time scoring against, finally they play a team, and it's going to hit them in the face a little bit. And I just kind of feel like a situation where Seattle's going to have control and clock it at the end, and I think when you're down by a couple scores, you're not going for field goals anymore. So, I fell on that one.
Yeah, and like I said, I could see this being a higher scoring game, but it's funny that you mentioned that. The books would love 17-3 or something like that, because what people love to bet is anytime touchdown scorers. And if you get a game where if there's a game where there's only maybe 2 or 3 touchdowns, maybe 2 of them are scored by the same guy, it's like JSN for 2, which people would be betting that prop as well, I suppose. But just all those anytime touchdown scorers going to hell for people, because there just aren't any touchdowns. That's a big boon for the books.
For sure,
especially on a big game like this. So, yeah, final score, I'm kind of with you there, like 30-14. I am hoping, obviously, for a Seattle win, but I think the most likely outcome is they have to struggle to catch up later in the game. New England does, and we end up with a spot where, like you said, they aren't kicking field goals, and then it's going to hinge on, hey, we're at 4th and 4 from the 16. There's going to be a lot of high variance plays like that, because they're going to have to score touchdowns to catch up at the end.
Absolutely. And you can even hedge an alt line too. So it's not like you can't get plus money if that's your plan. I think you have a plan before going in. Props, man. Anything different this year that you're noticing from last?
Not a lot, I guess. The offerings are kind of the offerings. We used to do this for the last 5 years whenever we did content about the Super Bowl. Oh man, the menu's bigger than it was last year, and it just keeps getting big.
Sure.
I think we've reached terminal velocity. The menu is what the menu is. Like they've run out of ideas. Like we hey, you can bet on anything now. I think they've found anything. Like it is.
Yes.
The list. I don't know that the list is any bigger than last year, but it's still massive. And obviously compared to what we had 5-10 years ago, it's even bigger. And it's funny. First and foremost in the books is like, hey, you know, here's all the stuff you can throw in SGPs. You have to dig a little deeper to go find the straight bets. But I mean, it's good because it's a good spot for people that bet other sports, that want to do some cross sport stuff. It's good for people that really dig into the props, that want to play some alt props, and also too, if you love unders, if these pros that like to hammer the unders in the proper spots, they're just, it's harder for them to get pushed down when they're taking so much public liability on some of these overs on the lower liquidity than the side and total props.
Yeah, I thought of one, but they don't seem to put sports that are too far ahead. I think it'd be smart for them to do something for college football because they get to hold on to your money longer. I would say like first quarter total with LSU's win total, right? It's around 8 points, 8.5. That's kind of where LSU is. And the books get to hold on to it for a long time. Maybe if you're an LSU hater, Alabama fan, you go under or actually go over the first quarter total. I don't know. I think that's kind of a fun one, but it's like they already took all the ideas, and that's very true. And one thing I noticed, I'm glad you said that, Andy. What I wrote is that it's too hard to find some of these. It is. I have people messaging me asking where I found it, and I'm like, dude, just search, man. And the DraftKings, I can only search on the app. I can't search on the website for some reason. And FanDuel, I can search on both. I don't know why that is. It's frustrating. It's like, dude, I'm spending way too much freaking time looking for this one stupid bet, and that drives me nuts a little bit, Andy.
Yeah, I struggled with that yesterday. I was trying to find something on FanDuel. Somebody wanted me to use FanDuel odds for something, and I don't use them a lot because I'm in a state that doesn't have legal sports betting. And I just had to ask somebody. I'm like, buddy, where do I go? I keep clicking the wrong thing. I'm struggling here. And he's like, don't click the game, or don't click the Super Bowl, click the actual game, because I just kept ending up at like the SGP screen. And I just wanted like a straight prop. I did struggle to find that. It's anytime you use a book you're not used to. It's like going to you go to the grocery store that you don't shop at. You can't find anything.
Dude, plus they're like making the whole alt overs where you pick it and what's juiced over a freaking 1.5. They put that in your face first, so you have to go for the rushing yards over under. You got to hit the extra click on that, which is a pain in the ass. Yeah, I mean, it's starting to get ridiculous how they're just trying to steer people towards what's going to be good for them and not what's good for the better. It does get annoying, and yeah, I sometimes do searches and I cannot find it. I was looking to bet an exact total an hour ago, and I just gave up. I was like, look, I don't want over under alt. I want an exact one just to see what the number would be, right? Because I kind of came up with something in my mind, but no luck there. Early props, anything you like for the national anthem, coin toss, first score, or anything in the first quarter?
The anthem's funny. I think they did practice today, and you saw some movement on some of the, somebody pointed out that one of the Discords I'm in, and they pointed out there's some movement in like, it almost felt like an over move, but it was more of they give out ranges at some of the exchanges. So it was like between a minute 10 and between a minute 20, like in that 10-second range. And that took a huge shot up today. So, I mean, it kind of speaks to an under, depending on what price you're getting right now. I think it is -1 or a minute 19 at a lot of places. It was 125 earlier in the week. It kind of moved on air. There wasn't really info. We didn't have practice reps yet, but people did bet that down pretty hard off that initial total. So I have a little bit of under. You can't not bet the anthem. I try not to bet the coin toss. Like that's true degen stuff. The only time I regretted not betting the coin toss was the Super Bowl boards, the squares, whatever you guys call them. I was in a bigger one, and they pick random squares out of the 100 and give them fun stuff. Like every square has the name of a player. And if that player wins the MVP, you get a bonus. And two of the squares were picked at random, and they got the coin toss, and I got the coin toss in one. So and I think it was like a $500 board or something. So I basically had the coin toss for $500 on heads. And so I was, that's fun right off the bat. And I realized like, I should have just gone and bet half of that on the other side, just taking the free money. I guess it's the same EV, it's a coin toss, but I realized like this is the one time when it was okay to bet the coin toss. I should have hedged my stupid Super Bowl thing off it. But other than that, I haven't really done like anything with America the Beautiful or any of the Bad Bunny stuff is tough because I don't really know the names of the songs. Like I know what he sounds like. His stuff's fun, but I haven't got info on the set list for that either.
Well, one of my questions was, did you learn Spanish for the halftime show for betting purposes, Andy? So you jumped right into that one.
I know some, but it's not helping because I know.
Oh, I can't understand it. You talk too fast. It's too fast.
Well, yeah, I learned, I used to manage factories way back in the day, 15, 20 years ago. And there was one where there was a lot of Spanish speakers and they taught me quite a bit and it helped, some of the communication, but most of my Spanish knowledge is very much related to, injection molding plastics products. So not super helpful for the Bad Bunny thing. So I'll see if I get some info on it. I'll bet into that market, but for the most part, I tend to stay away from those until somebody tells me.
Well, Ian Rappaport was doing a report at the Super Bowl, and then they were practicing the national anthem yesterday, and it almost went through the whole thing. But I did tag Rafael Esparza, who does some of these props, makes them. And what's funny is like it almost got there, but you never know how long they're going to hold brave. You never know. That's really the tell right there is how long they hold that. And actually, there's a prop on that over 4.5 seconds for the brave. So maybe go over in that and under in the national anthem and see what happens. Yeah,
find yourself a middle.
Yeah, find yourself a little anthem middle for some of these low limits, but why not? You know what? I actually went with first quarter under 8.5. I think that they're going to be a little timid, just like every Super Bowl is. I'm always a first half under, second half over better, and it almost works every year, Andy. But instead, it does. But seeing it at 22 and a half, I want the 23. I'm not going to get it. It's usually 23 and a half to 24. It's usually around there, So this one's it's kind of extraordinary low, and I get it because none of these teams really go for it a lot on fourth down. They're pretty timid. They rely on their defense. Both of these are really defensive-minded coaches. So I actually didn't bet the under punts. I might get to the under punts, by the way, because it was last year it was 6.5, now it's 7.5. I still might get there. But I was like first score field goal because same theory, same game theory. Tighten up in the red zone. Don't want to throw that pick. Want to grab some points. Plus 330 for Seattle. Plus 370 for New England. Blended odds about plus 175. I think that's always value.
Yeah, Vrabel is a little more aggressive in the playoffs, which is surprising. But the punts one is interesting because and this is tough because you're talking about two teams. We only have 2 of the 32 teams here, and they're very unique to themselves. But as a whole, this is the fewest punts per game we've ever had as an NFL season. Like it was considerably lower than last year. Some of it is the aggressiveness on fourth down, and some of it is just better field position to start based on, some of the kickoff rules. And even sometimes the kicker's just screwing up, not hitting the landing zone. If you start with at the 40, it's hard for you to end up punting during that one. So it was 3.5 punts per team per game this year, and last year was 3.8. So it just keeps coming down, that's what they want. Punts aren't fun.
Yeah, I mean, the field position starting has been funner for sure. I agree. I actually like what they did at the kickoff. I was really pissed that they took it away in the beginning, but now I'm like okay with it. I'm fine with it. A few guys sneak through too sometimes, so I'm actually thought that was finally a good move from the NFL. Any player props that you like, and I have a few to go over with you as well. But these are kind of like the ones we're used to betting all year, right?
Yeah, and I'm not a huge props guy game to game during the season. I'll tail some people I trust. I'll play some that really stick out like a sore thumb to me. But obviously with this game, I have a few, and I did have to pump the brakes. And I've said this before. I said this to Drew. I said I started to play props and I started to make my list, and I realized like I'm just making the same bet over and over. I'm making the Seattle game script bet. Like I can't bet it 500 ways. If I'm gonna keep doing this, I need to find longer shots because otherwise I'm just betting a bunch of -110, -115s that are basically Seattle leads the game and then New England has to come back, and I'm making that game script bet. But I've already made a few, and I like them because they can win in other game scripts. And one of them was Drake May over 30.5 attempts. I don't think their run game is going to work nearly as well as it has the last 2 weeks. It's a better run defense. And I do believe they'll be in trailing game state, especially in the second half. They will give you the short underneath stuff. I think he throws quite a bit. And it's funny because these are very negatively correlated, but I do like his rushing as well. I think that's going to be their only two options later in the game is he's going to have to scramble. Seattle gives up a ton of scrambles. He's going to have to do it with his legs a few times if the run game isn't working. So it's a little negative correlation between those two. I'm not sure. I'm putting them in a parlay, but
you're putting Drake May over rushing yards. Is that what you did?
Over rushing yards. So it's funny. I'm like very pro Seattle, but I'm still betting like Drake May overs because I think he's just going to be in that sort of game state. It's funny. I did look at the punts one. It's a pretty tight line, 6.5. It's gonna be probably a little chintzy on that. You mentioned the first half stuff. I do always like to look for that, see what I can find for the best price on second half, more points than the first half. I don't like it as much as I have in years past, but I do like that one.
FanDuel Sports 7.5 -113 on both sides punts. So
for punts, that's probably an under.
That's the one I'm eyeing. Like I said, it was hard for me to think about it based upon the defensive orientation, but you're right. They're starting at the 35 a lot. I think that this year was even more than last year, even though it's moved a whole point. Yeah, I got to take that. So I'll count that. This will be one of my live bets for this podcast. What else did by the way, it sucks. I guess I'm head to head with you, May. I took May under, and it was 39.5, and now it's 37.5. I just thought it moved up a little too much, but you could be right. It wasn't like one of my biggest plays. I just kind of was like, when Seattle kind of be ready for May, and it's like against some of these scrub teams, that's where he didn't have to run. He actually did well against the bigger names, actually. So it kind of goes for you, but I just wonder how good Seattle's defense really is, and if they're going to spy him a little bit. So no, little disagreement there, but not a big deal. Another one I like is Hunter Henry over 3.5 receptions. I got it when it was 106, -106. It's higher now, but I think it's one of those dump off to the tight end type things. I think Diggs is going to be locked down personally, so I'm going to take Diggs' under later. That went down too, though, Andy. A lot of sharper people are not waiting till all the bets come in because that hasn't worked a lot. We used to say wait to the last minute, but no, that has not worked. It is the last few years, Andy. I've noticed the sharper people see a number, they're grabbing it already.
Yeah, and I've looked at sacks as well, not individual, but just like team sacks. I don't love the matchup of like Campbell and some of the other guys against. I mean, it's not even going to be a bunch of blitzing, but it is a bunch of confusing looks up front. So I think they're going to be some, not like a full on whiff, but like it's tough looking at the Seattle front, deciding who's coming, who's not, who's dropping, and there can be some misassignments. You can miss a stunt here and there, and May does hold the ball a little longer than he should at times. So I think he gets sacked. I believe that was 3.5. Haven't placed that one yet. I'm still shopping around.
Yeah, I know I took that one, and I'll get to that too. I'll just dump out the ones I was going to give in this pod. I want Kenneth Walker over 20.5 receiving yards because I think the gameplay is going to be make the quarterback beat you. So why would you not make a young Drake May beat you? And why would you not make a Sam Darnold, who that's the only chance you have to beat you? Maybe put a safety over JSN, but I would just at least stop Walker and just that's the way to play some of these quarterbacks. So I think that both coaches will do that. So I'd like the receiving yards over, and I like Kenneth Walker under 73.5 rushing yards. So it's kind of a correlation with that as well. I like Walker over 2.5 receptions as well. I also went Ramondre, and this is kind of like your Drake May over passing attempts. I took Ramondre Stevenson under 14.5 rushing attempts because I do think that Trayvon Williams will get some
struggles, man.
Yeah. It's going to be hard. And if you're really down because of the way that me and you think this game's going to go, he's not going to get a lot of carries in the fourth quarter.
No. No, that's kind of where my head's at. I looked at that price as well, but again, it felt like a little repetitive compared to everything else I bet.
Yeah,
It's like I should be putting these all in a parlay, but no, I think you're kind of right there too. I do think they struggle against this. They've had success. He's had good games against two pretty good run defenses in Houston and Denver, but it wasn't from a hugely negative game state ever. They just kept getting the ball from CJ, and then they played. I mean, it's really hard to use 2 weeks ago, the snow game. It's hard to use some of the stats. Like, are we really going to pump up Drake May from, based on that game that he won where he threw, like 8 completions for 80 yards or something? It's tough to use a lot of what happened in that game. Obviously, they were going to, they were going to go to the ground there. So,
well, I mean, I grabbed a good number on Booty going over. And I gave that out on an earlier show that, it went up since I bet it. But I'm thinking, like, why are you guys using Denver's game? And I think the books kind of averaged it out or whatever they do to make a number. And some of those were wrong because of that game. Highest scoring half, I got also second half minus 115 because I already mentioned that. That's the way I'm attacking it this year. I'm just doing highest scoring half, second half. Hopefully,
that's a good price.
3-0 first half. Let's go, baby.
Yeah.
What else you got?
As far as player props, that's probably most of it. I am excited to put together some SGPs, on just here's the game state I like. Here's 5, you take it. There's 20 things that happen in that game state. Go find your, pick 5 or 6 of those that you think you're the most confident on happening, and then have the best case of happening concurrently and with each other. And I'm going to make a few of those, and a lot of it is going to be, a lot of it's going to be the stuff that I already do. I don't do a lot of that during the season. It just takes some time, but I'm going to have a lot of free time, Sunday morning and Saturday afternoon a little bit too to play around with that. I joked that I might drive to Iowa and bet this at FanDuel at the counter, just to have a paper ticket, and I got to see what their price is. I know I priced it at maybe DraftKings, but I do want to bet New England points scored exactly 0.
Ooh, I think shutout.
Yes, I just love the defense. I'm so Seattle pilled, and I love their defense. And if we are gonna have to listen to every talking head just go on and on for the next 3 weeks about we told you so, that schedule was so soft, we told you so. At least we have a fun, crazy outcome, because truthfully, there's a certain point, and you already mentioned that, if it's 17-0, 21-0 late in the third quarter, there's no more field goals. Again, and then at that point, they can drive the field, and you just got to win a couple fourth downs at that point, because you're not kicking a field goal down 21-0 in the fourth quarter. So at that point, it could be live, and it wasn't a big enough price to really make it worth math wise, but I think it was like 50 to 1. So
the gas money.
You got to play that one for fun. Just, it's one of those, you got to say, once I spoke it into existence, it's like, well, that's got to make the card now, just because I said it, and it's just a fun ticket to have for when it ends up happening finally.
Don't tempt me, Bilbo. I looked at it too. I mean, I did, of course. I looked at it, and it was. I just thought that Vrabel's just going to get 3 at the end, so he's not shut out. I don't know.
I know. I would hate him even more if he did that. If he did that,
he will.
I mean, at that point, if it's live late in the fourth quarter, I'm going to be betting some team total over. Just a hedge out of that, I suppose.
Yeah. I mean, dude, I'm with you. I am, and I did take the sacks prop over to 5.5 minus 113. And dude, I took the alt sack 7+ means just get over 6.5, right? Just get 7 plus 185. So I took a half unit on one and a half unit on the other.
That's combined sacks.
Yeah, it's combined for the whole game.
Yeah.
I mean, I see May getting flattened plenty of times. I actually see Darnold getting sacked a few times too. I don't think he's going to get out scot-free either. Will a wide receiver or tight end record a rush attempt? Yes. I unfortunately had to pay minus 120 on this. It wasn't offshore, but I think that this is, you're going to see Shaheed or somebody record a rushing attempt. I really believe in that one. And, and I also kind of like the over number of rushers for the Patriots at 3.5. 4.5 for Seattle, but that happens a lot. I like that one too. TD props.
Yeah, that's interesting too, because you can even win that on just an oopsie play where it's supposed to be a wide receiver screen and he just takes, he doesn't quite get to his spot and it's a sideways pass. And suddenly it's like, yeah, that goes in as a rush. That happens in games, not even a planned running game, but it was supposed to be, just a kind of a forward pass, maybe a yard, and he takes a big step backwards to grab it on a wide receiver screen. Those get put in the book as a rush, which is, how it should be.
Right. So and it's a lateral too. It's a lateral too. But remember, if you fumble in a lateral, it's not a fumble. Whatever.
Yeah.
I don't even want to get into that, dude.
But it's like the fumble on the handoff. Those are given to the quarterback, no matter whose fault it is.
Yeah.
It's a quarterback turnover.
Yeah, that's true. And it's always those quick screens to the wide receiver could always be a backwards pass for sure. Did you do TD props?
I haven't, man. It is just chalky. It does feel like the people who took all the long shots might get blown up in this game because.
Oh yeah,
I made this joke ahead of maybe it was the Rams or Niners game. Obviously, it had to be. Those are the only two they played. But I'm like, it doesn't matter what the Kenneth Walker price is. It's probably that's just coming home. That's just how their offense works. And he scored the first touchdown there. It wasn't the Niners game because obviously that was Shaheed. But JSN, Walker, Stevenson, and then maybe even May. It feels like they eat up a lot of the touchdown equity, and some of the long shots are really hard for me to get behind. So I don't have any guys I really love in that market. Did you bet some? Because it would have to be a long shot, and it's I'm not gonna. He can't go. I don't know if he can go back to the Bobo well. It's probably gonna have to be Helani maybe as a guy.
I went back to okay. So here's my
Helani's going to be in on some.
Yes, and
he's a better pass protector.
You already hit two of mine. You hit
he might leak out. Yeah.
So what my plan is this. I think I had to take one not long shot in JSN for the higher amount at 0.5 stars, and the rest are all 0.2 stars. Right, the rest are all 0.2. There's 5.2 to make 1 unit, and then there's a half unit and a half for this. Now here's the thing. I really think, even though Kenneth Walker's probably going to do it, I still think that the rush defense is going to be sticking up, and it's still going through my game flow the way I think it's going to flow. So I went Rashid Shaheed 19-1, Drake May 17-1, George Helani 22-1 because could be a backup at the time, or just it could be the third drive. It could be just field goals in the first quarter and a half. Hunter Henry at 17-1. I only have 2 Patriots and I have 6 Seattle. So those are the 0.2 ones. Bobo's not 80-1 no more though. I took him right when it opened. No. It is 50-1 or something like that. It is still pretty high. I'd like to look at it, but I gave it out at 80-1. Then I have JSN plus 550 for 0.5 stars. So you know what? This is just a fun bet. And long shots, we'll see. But it's what's probably going to happen is even a longer shot that nobody's even thinking about is going to hit it. And that always gets me too. It's like, how did I miss out on that?
The Shaheed one came up the other day too, and I'm curious to know where you bet it and how they grade that. But it feels like if you're betting Shaheed and you're price shopping it, and you notice hey, it's a way different price at this one book. I think some books grade kick and punt returns differently, where they would not give him that. They would say, no, that's Seattle defense special teams. Not that saying he wouldn't, he's going to get on the field as a receiver as well. He's been a big part of that as well. But I think if you notice a big difference in a Shaheed price from one book to another, maybe double check on the rules on that sort of thing, because, if he houses one as a kick returner, some books will give him that and some books will not.
Oh God, there's going to be a hell of a lot to complain about if that happens. That's
I almost hope he's right, because there's somebody who's bet him that has bet him at a place that's not going to give it to him. So obviously I'd love for him to house one. That'd be great, just for everything I'd like to happen. But it would be fun because there'd be some chaos involved there as well. With some
There's going to be chaos. Absolutely. Of course, when you look right on it, they don't have the rules in your face. You have to dig for it.
Oh no, you got to dig. You got to do some reading. Get out your cheaters and read. Get into the fine print, baby.
I'm not fighting for it. Maybe someone else can. It's not like I'm putting that big of money on it.
Yeah.
Any cross sport head-to-heads right now? I know you said you were thinking about doing some. Is there anything you're eyeing up? I did one only for one reason, but I'll let you go first if you have something.
I don't have any yet. This is going to be part of this is always the last thing I get to.
Almost last, yeah.
Yeah, and I looked at some of the golf stuff and I just didn't have a good feel on that. So for the most part, I've left the cross sports stuff off. But you're right. Some of them, they're crossed with things that aren't going to happen until Saturday or Sunday. So I have some time on those. I don't know if anything popped up to you. You can certainly sell me on it.
I'm not going to sell you on this because it's probably bad. But I just want a piece of Arizona winning it, of winning the NCAA tournament. And they're 4.25 to 1, dude. They are clearly better than everybody. But this is the tournament. I got some other good pieces. I don't have Michigan, but I have some Illinois. I got some good numbers on some stuff. But what I will say is that I put them with 3 of the game flow ones I was thinking of, and I made Arizona 30 to 1. So now if those 3 other ones hit, obviously it's still way of a long shot. Then I'd be like, oh, I got Arizona 30 to 1, small bet, but I got Arizona 31. So I did something stupid like that. But it is the Super Bowl, and that's why we do it. But yeah, I'd be curious to hear what you land on, Andy. So I'm guessing next week's golf at Pebble Beach might have something too. So I guess we'll see.
You'll have to check that out because you're right. Sometimes, they don't do stuff that's way, way, way down the board, but they will do stuff that's closer to that. Drew found some fun ones with the Olympics. They actually bet it was like, God, I want to say it was first half points versus. This was a silly one. It was a good bet, I believe. I think he made a really good bet, but it was like U.S. plus Canada combined golds versus first half points, in the Super Bowl. So there's a few places that had some pretty fun ones that go with the Olympics.
Nice. And the game props like Gatorade color or trophies. Anything you have for end of game?
Haven't gotten any info on Gatorade yet, man. It's been a while since Seattle. It was always fun because we just kept having the Chiefs go, or the Rams win a couple times, or the Niners are back, or we saw them, last year in the NFC title game, and we had some like Gatorade info, and it's fun with the huge numbers on purple that would get bet down.
Yeah,
I don't know. It's I think blue was favored because both teams are. I don't know. Are teams more likely to have a color of Gatorade that's like one of their team colors? I think they just like certain flavors, man.
I think
like,
blue
is team likes orange, man.
I thought Seattle at one time won with blue, but also it's different coach, different regime. But another thing, there's a couple different blue colors. That's what I heard. I heard that there's a few different flavors with blue, and they have to make the Frost one white/clear. My favorite's orange. I do like purple a little bit. I don't drink Gatorade that much.
Orange is good.
It's just my favorite. It's just it brings me memories. It's nostalgic for me. It's.
Well, what did they used to have at the beginning? I mean, I think at first it was just yellow. That's all you had.
Yeah, it was a lime green, yellow.
Yeah, in the glass bottle. That's all you had. Yeah. But it was like orange was one of the old flavors too. They when they started to make more than one.
Yes,
there was no Riptide Rush. When back in the day.
No Riptide Rush. I went total accepted penalties under 10.5. I don't think that. I know Sean Smith can be a little bit cute, but look, this is the Super Bowl, and you saw how some of the playoff games have been officiated yet swallowing their flags.
Oh my God!
And these are accepted penalties, not thrown penalties. I think that there's a damn good chance that this prop goes under, and I don't know. I would bet it's juiced by now. I did it probably Monday when I bet this, but that is too high. That is just too high. Total accepted.
swallowed their. We said that at one of the halftime shows we did. But like, hey, if I were a defensive back, I would be getting even handsier because they are letting you get away with aggravated assault in the secondary right now. And why would you ever let a receiver try to catch the ball if you can just knock them down before?
Yeah.
So, and it's been a bit of a theme during the playoffs. They've let them play.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think that's what's going to happen because they don't want to make it about them. It's the biggest telecast in the world, really. MVP. Now, I really do believe there is value on Sam Darnold at plus money. I really do, because there is just so little scenarios that the others are going to win. So I did take some Sam Darnold, but I also had to take another one, and I'm going to explain to you how dumb this book is. Well, I shouldn't say that, they're one of our sponsors, but how they mispriced this. I let's just say. So do you agree, first of all, Sam?
Yeah, it's hard to see like Walker because a running back has to do so much in today's world to be recognized above a quarterback. And then at the same time, a wide receiver is dependent upon the quarterback. So like if JSN catches every single touchdown and has some six stat line, it still might not be enough. Like I think he has to have, I mean, for a wide receiver, let's just say JSN and, the obvious example, he'd have to have, maybe break the receiving record for the Super Bowl, which is, like 220 or just like 170 yards, 3 touchdowns. And one of them has to be like a sick ass catch where, oh my God, can you, or the game winning catch. But at the same time, Darnold would have thrown the game winning touchdown. So it just feels like I don't understand the scenario. And we did lay it out a little. It might have to be Darnold trips over himself all the first half, or he throws 2 picks. It's a close game. He's the seeing ghosts is mentioned on the broadcast. He looks like garbage, but it's a close game. They come back. He throws 2 short touchdowns in the second half. His stat line doesn't look good. JSN catches both of them. So it's just like a lot of things have to kind of line up right for him not to win it if they win the game.
Thank you for saying that, because FanDuel has JSN to win MVP, record 100 receiving yards, and score 2 touchdowns at 30-1. It's like, dude,
yeah, those are like prerequisites.
Yeah. No doubt. I was talking with Mike yesterday. He's like, what the hell? I mean, he said it should be 8-1. It's 30-1 at FanDuel right now. And I'm looking, I just searched it right now. And it's not like I really think he's going to win. I think his real number is 10-1 and just in general. But dude, like 100, I mean, that's you have to do that to win it anyway. So you just made it 30-1, sure. The
only other thing I could see, again, going along with, he has to have a good game. They have to have a play drawn up for him to throw a touchdown, and are you betting on that? Like, that's my handicap for MVP. I think he throws a touchdown. Like, that's such a weird outlier thing that doesn't happen very often anyway. So, it's something crazy has to happen for him to get it, or he just has the huge game and Darnold stinks a little.
Absolutely. Over 2, you can bet the over 2.5 passers in the game as well to someone to have a pass attempt. I believe I just kind of destroyed that, but like any, I think the number is, it's 2.5 right now at plus money. 2 total players to record a pass attempt. So if you like that, then plus 146 is out there as well, which is really interesting. So
they're not a team, and they're not a team that does that. Like, I think they've had one person attempt to pass all year that wasn't a quarterback, and it was an interception. So
did Mike Vrabel catch a touchdown or something?
Mike Vrabel caught more than 1 touchdown. He's caught like 5 or 6.
Okay,
I don't think he'll suit up though.
No, he won't. But since he's leading the team, he might let a lineman score.
I know.
He might have someone throw it.
They had that. No, they had that play in the playbook. Honestly, I don't know the number, but I feel like he caught 4 or 5 touchdowns because they use that play like once a year, and he was pretty sure-handed on that little leak out from the tackle eligible.
Yeah, I love it. I mean, so that's going to be fun if they can do something like that, and hopefully he goes back to his roots here and remembers some of that fun stuff that happened.
Holy Lord! You know how many touchdowns he has?
How many?
12.
That's throughout his career, but I bet
career,
you
14 seasons. He has 12, 2 in the Super Bowl.
That's what I was thinking. I was going to ask you 2 in the Super Bowl. That's cool. Yeah. Thanks for looking that up. That's wonderful.
I felt like 5 or 6 was a big number for a guy like that. That's crazy. So you wonder if he, if they're winning, if he has a play in the playbook, like, hey, run the variable play.
Yeah, dude. I mean, what's a linebacker to score a touchdown? That's where you want to look, because he's trying to give it back to what happened with him, right? That's interesting.
I'm trying to think of who would be the most likely, like, of their linebacking core. If it's, Spillane, I don't know if he hurt, or I don't even know if he plays. So, like, Christian Ellis to catch a touchdown pass.
Yeah,
Harold Landry.
They don't ring off the tongue like the old Patriots teams, do they? With Brewski and all that, right? Yeah, no, I get it. Well, yeah, I have a few long shots. I don't know, like you said, you're waiting on a few yourselves, but these are like the fun bets, the beer bet banger section where you just put beer money on stuff. Being at the Super Bowl, I have a few ones. So I did the exact score, 31-13, Seattle, plus 150 to 1. So I did some beer money on that. Just to see if that's going to hit. Obviously, most likely not, but that would just make my week, obviously. Alt Seattle, exact total. This is a crazy one. I just picked 53. I don't even know why the hell I picked that, but it's beer money at 500 to 1. So if Seattle gets 53 points by ungodly reasons, that would be fun. But here's the thing. And Mike Palm and I do this every year because we talked about it again yesterday. MVP, you got to throw a little on the kickers. One year it was 3-0 in the Super Bowl, and Mike and I almost hit that one. And it was years ago. Can't remember which one it was, but it was really low scoring for a long time, and that obviously changed. But if Myers kicks like 6 field goals and wins like, 18-6 or 18-7, something like that, who are you going to give the MVP to? A defensive guy, maybe. But dude, at 200 to 1, and Borgales at 500 to 1, I have 30 years left in my life. Maybe I'm going to do this, and hopefully one of those years, it's a kicker, my friend.
I think that was 2019. You're probably talking about that. It was the Rams Patriots one that was like 13 to it was 13-3. We actually brought that up the other day as far as betting MVPs, because they're like, that's another path to a wide receiver, running back winning. If it's just a terrible game and they're like the only guy who scores a touchdown. And that was a Julian Edelman MVP award that year.
Yeah,
where it's just like, hey, who's gonna do? Somebody do anybody do anything here? If you literally do anything, we will give you the MVP award, because nobody's scored yet tonight. So I like the kicker ones, though. That was when we went through scenarios. That was the second most likely. Was just, hey, it's a grinded out game where both defenses step up, and especially now, and I'm listening to somebody, Corby, talk about, the wind is just really, really, for an outdoor stadium, it's almost windless. They put up a huge new Jumbotron, he'd said. Got to give him credit on the research there. And they said, like, the long field goals really hit here in the stadium. So if you got a guy that nobody scores a touchdown, it ends up being something like that, 12-3, terrible game to watch. But if he makes like 3 50-yard field goals and there's no touchdowns, I don't know, what else are you going to do?
No doubt. What else are you going to do? You got to get someone. So, yeah. And the numbers are huge on them. I will say some books have went down to 100 to 1, but I found MGM had a good number on it. So I say, great. I got one more for you, because it's a funny name, and DK put it out, and it's called Booty Call. All right. It's Keyshawn Booty, of course.
Oh yeah.
It's 15 to 1, but it's a 40-yard touchdown or more, 40, 45, whatever. Anything over.
That's all he does.
That's what I'm saying. It's 15 to 1. That's all he does. Even that snowy game, they went deep to him once. He missed it. Or it was a bad throw. But dude, maybe it doesn't hit, which it most likely will not. But 1 out of 12 times, 1 out of 15 is
nice long shot.
Why not? Booty, and it's a great name. Booty Call. Are you kidding me? I'll be yelling Booty Call if that happens, my friend. I might even tweet it out, but that is, I noticed that, and I think it's fun, and it's, another beer bet banger of mine. So we'll root for Booty to get one, at least at the end.
Kind of along the same lines as the kicker thing. I will be probably picking one or two defensive players.
Yeah.
It's hard because, like, again, in that scenario, if you have a terrible game and it's low scoring and there's just not a lot of touchdowns, both quarterbacks struggle. They've given it to defensive players. It does happen. They have to have a big game, and nobody else can really have a big game. But you remember Von Miller won it 10 years ago. Like before that, who was the same? Dexter Jackson won it. Dexter Jackson is a Super Bowl. Obviously, Ray Lewis is a stud. You can't hardly.
What about Leonard Williams?
But Dexter Jackson. That was the game.
I remember
the game turned into be a kind of a weird one, I guess, because that was a high scoring game. I wanted to say, and I can't remember if he had a kick return or what happened. That was like 25 years ago. But a defensive player can win it. There's going to be long odds. You got to pick somebody. I don't love a lot of the defensive ends here, so I kind of want to find some secondary pieces that maybe we get a pick six. So I've looked at like Tariq Woolen. He's 200, 250 to 1. When these guys are like 150 to 250, you can bet 3 or 4 of them and not feel too bad. So I'm probably gonna pick 2 or 3 secondary pieces and maybe a pass rusher and play some money on them as well.
I would go with Witherspoon at 100 to 1, right? And this may be higher somewhere else. I'm just looking at
125 at FanDuel right now.
Okay, and Leonard Williams, because they might double up on Lawrence and he sneaks kind of through. They do a lot of stunts, right? I would think that he has a good shot of let's just say 3 sacks and just like fumble sacks and it's a low scoring game. Leonard Williams, I would do that. I mean, obviously we're just playing with fire right now because the more I look at this stuff, it's like, holy cow, I got like 30 units in the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
it'll get out quick, man. But no, I get it. I would love to hear what you land on.
Sure. And some of it with defense, especially if you want to play a secondary piece, this happens all the time where it's like, who the hell is this guy? And he turned out to be pretty good over the stretch of the year. But I think it was the Vikings-Bears week 1 where there was a couple of interceptions, and the first one, maybe even the touchdown, was like Nashawn Wright. I'm like, I'm not super familiar with Nashawn Wright. Obviously, by the end of the year, he was a bigger part of the Bears defense was playing pretty good. But sometimes sometimes secondary is just being right place, right time when there's a bad pass or a tip ball. So like if there's a guy in the secondary and you want to play some long shots like this, just be like, well, he's not that good, but he's literally out there all the time. Because this is they play a lot of light boxes and they play, this guy's playing like 80% of the snaps. So somebody like Josh Jobe, he's 700 to 1. Josh Jobe ain't any good. He's a weak spot back there. Compared to some of his brethren that are much better at playing secondary for the Seahawks. But Josh Jobe, a couple interceptions just because the ball bounces the wrong way. That's a fun ticket to sweat. Just sometimes it's like the best ability is availability. The best chances of getting interceptions just being a guy who's on the field constantly for these secondaries. So kind of look at who just plays the most.
Yeah, but who is in the most? Who has the most opportunities?
Yeah, because you're just guessing. You're guessing anyway.
Well, that's awesome, Andy. And you guys are awesome over at Betsperts, and you still do the golf, which is awesome. I love following you on that. And the Deep Dive Podcast, one of my go-tos for so many years. Where could our listeners and viewers get your great information, Andy?
Yeah, just Twitter, man, or whatever they're calling it now. But at Andy MSFW, just on the Twitter machine every day. At Deep Dive Pod, you can find that on YouTube as well. And how do they say it? Wherever you find podcasts, the Deep Dive Podcast. We just did our Super Bowl episode yesterday, and Drew left me, flew off to watch some skiing in Italy.
I heard
they're doing a ski. They're doing a ski event over in Italy this week, I guess.
Well, that's
calling it the Olympics.
I'd be curious to see where he's watching the Super Bowl then. So that's
I know. Hopefully, it's not the same as it used to be, where it's like, oh no, I'm in the Caribbean and they're not showing football because I went on vacation because they don't care. But like nowadays with streaming services, it's a lot easier.
Yeah.
You don't have to like go to a bar and yell at them to turn it. We don't have a CBS, sir, Senora.
Dude, I was just in Mexico.
But it is going to be like 3:30 in the morning when it's on. So.
Our hotel in Puerto Vallarta during Wild Card weekend had the game, so I was pretty happy about that. I double checked, but yeah, these days you can certainly find it, especially with all the streaming services. Make sure you guys check out Andy at Andy MSFW. Best of luck this weekend, Andy.
Yeah, you too, sir.